how friends and family can really help. Feeling the immense power of my loved ones beside me, knowing I wasn't alone, was a fundamental source of strength, and I sensed, deep down, their desperate desire to help ease the journey in any way they could. This desire to help is, in itself, a profound expression of love. But figuring out what kind of help actually feels helpful when you're navigating the overwhelming territory of a serious illness, well, that became a learning process for everyone involved, myself included. I can only share what resonated and what didn't, based on my own personal experience, knowing full well that every person, every situation, is unique. One of the first things I noticed didn't feel helpful, despite the undoubtedly good intentions behind it, was the pity look. Seeing that specific expression, a kind of sorrowful helplessness, directed at me, felt incredibly diminishing. It was as if my identity had suddenly shrunk, replaced entirely by the diagnosis, making me feel like a fragile object rather than a person fighting back. It didn't make me feel cared for. It made me feel isolated in my struggle, reminding me sharply of how far from normal things were. For me, genuine empathy felt supportive, but pity felt heavy and unwelcome. Similarly, I found it particularly difficult when well-meaning people became too insistent with advice, especially regarding treatments or doctors I should see. Hearing, "You absolutely must try X," or "My friend's uncle had something similar and Y saved him," often felt like they weren't trusting my choices or the expertise of my medical team. While I knew they were trying to offer solutions, from my perspective, it often felt like they were adding noise and pressure to an already overwhelming situation. It undermined the trust I was trying to build with my own medical team and my own instincts. I learned, for my own sanity, that I had to gently but firmly create boundaries around these kinds of conversations early on. This kind of help, trying to force ideas or compare my situation to someone else's vaguely similar story, just created overwhelming mental clutter. What felt like a breath of fresh air in contrast? When someone simply asked, "What would be most helpful for you right now?" or "Is there anything specific I can do?" That simple act of asking, rather than assuming or prescribing, felt incredibly respectful. It acknowledged that I was living this, that I knew best what I needed or didn't need at that moment. It returned a small measure of control to me when so much felt uncontrollable. It opened the door for collaboration, allowing me to either voice a real need or simply accept their presence, feeling heard and respected either way. Often, the support that truly sustained me, the kind that really helped, wasn't about big dramatic actions. Instead, it was the consistent, quiet presence of people and the accumulation of small, thoughtful kindnesses that made the biggest difference. Just knowing people were checking in regularly, perhaps with a simple text message or a quick call, was enough to break through feelings of isolation. It was those everyday gestures, a shared moment of quiet companionship when my brain felt foggy, an unexpected note of encouragement, or any small, tangible symbol that showed someone was thinking of me with care and wishing me well. These weren't complicated things, but they were deeply human and incredibly grounding. They reminded me I was loved and seen as a whole person, not just by my illness. That connection to my whole self was why fostering a sense of normalcy became so important. As much as I sometimes needed to talk about what was happening, the constant focus on the illness could be incredibly draining. I craved normal conversations about everyday life, about their lives, about anything but the tumor. Going for a short, slow walk and just talking about a movie, or hearing about a friend's work challenges, these moments felt like lifelines back to the world I still belonged to. This extended to how people reacted to physical changes too. When my hair started falling out in patches, the most supportive thing, for me, was when people didn't make it a topic. Even well-meaning comments felt awkward, highlighting something that already made me feel vulnerable. Their sensitive non-reaction felt like acceptance, helping me feel less defined by the visible signs of treatment. Of course, everyone is different, and I imagine others might feel differently, but for me, that quiet normalcy was powerful support. Respecting my privacy also became crucial for my sense of safety. Feeling so exposed and vulnerable, knowing that my personal health details were being discussed without my knowledge or consent, felt deeply violating. I needed to be in control of that narrative. I deeply appreciated the friends and family who inherently understood this, or who always checked with me first before sharing an update. It built immense trust. This sensitivity also applied to questions too. I found specific, gentle inquiries. How did yesterday's appointment go? Much easier than broad, heavy ones. Are you feeling any better overall? Which could feel overwhelming to answer honestly. It was also helpful when supporters showed their own discretion in not probing for details I wasn't ready to share. Looking back, I developed such a profound appreciation for the incredibly difficult journey my closest supporters were navigating right alongside me, especially my spouse and immediate family. It wasn't always obvious. They tried so hard to be strong for me, to present a brave face. But I saw glimpses. in their tired eyes after long days, in a momentary lapse of a forced smile, in a quiet sigh I perhaps wasn't meant to hear. I sensed the hidden fear coiling beneath their reassuring words, the exhaustion settling into their bones even as they offered me energy. Realizing they were carrying this immense weight too, feeling their own unique blend of fear, helplessness, and unwavering love, fostered a deep empathy within me. It helped me understand that their occasional frustrations or moments of quiet weren't about me, but about the enormous strain they were under. I learned how vital it was for them to have their own support systems, their own safe places, maybe talking honestly with each other, or with their own trusted friends, or even seeking professional guidance themselves. They needed spaces where they could let their own guard down, vent their fears, cry their tears, without the added worry of upsetting me. Their well-being, I came to understand, wasn't separate from mine. It was completely intertwined. A supported supporter could offer steadier support. Their strength bolstered mine, and their moments of respite likely gave them the reserves needed to continue showing up with such love. Ultimately, through all these complex interactions, I learned that truly helping someone through this isn't about finding magic words or somehow fixing the unfixable illness. For me, the most powerful, most healing support came wrapped in simpler things. It came through genuine presence. That feeling of someone just being with you, calmly and without judgment, offering quiet companionship that didn't demand anything back. It came through patience. The incredible grace shown when I was slow to think, slow to move, or caught in a loop of fear, the feeling that it was okay to be exactly where I was in that moment. It came through sensitivity and respect for my autonomy, people asking, before assuming, listening more than advising. And crucially, it came through a mutual willingness to communicate openly, even when the words were difficult or uncomfortable. Learning to speak my needs, and trusting others to hear them with love, and learning to hear their needs too, took courage from everyone involved. It wasn't always smooth. Sometimes communication failed, sometimes boundaries were clumsy. But the effort to connect honestly, to navigate the confusion together with love, that was everything. Working through it, side by side, revealed the incredible, life-affirming strength that lies simply in truly showing up for one another, proving, again and again, that I was not alone. Having a playbook can transform a loved one's desire to help into real, meaningful support. It turns good intentions into powerful actions. But there's another side to this equation, a skill that is often the hardest to learn for the person at the center of the storm: how to open the door and let that help in. And just as importantly, how to know when to close it to protect your own peace. Join me this coming Thursday as we explore two of the most courageous acts in any healing journey: asking for help and setting boundaries. If this story feels important, sharing it with someone who might need it would mean the world. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what comes next. And for the complete journey, you can always find the link to the full book in the description below.